Hello, I'm Matthew, and as I'm sure you know, I teach easy, elegant, confident cooking, floristry without fear, secrets of style, all the nuts and bolts of hospitality that help us all get along a bit more graciously together. Today I'm working on an extremely special bouquet, and I'm not going to turn it around until it's finished, but I'm going to work on it while we talk. First of all, welcome to my kitchen. I'm filming indoors today instead of the usual patio. Please forgive the partial electric light. I'd much prefer to film in natural sun, but I was out cutting this morning and had all of the things I cut from my garden, which is not all of this, but roses and Queen Anne's lace and some other things, ivy and some foliage. Anyway, I was done cutting by 8 and it was already 90 degrees Fahrenheit with temperatures and humidity soaring, and I knew if I tried to film this outdoors, the fresh cut material would not last. So, why am I making this bouquet? It is the birthday of one of my favorite friends, and I'm not going to tell you his name because he's an extremely private person and I don't want to violate his confidence. But, gosh, I must have known him for 25 years now, at least, and how could I describe him to you? He is an antiques dealer, one of the great dealers that remains in America, certainly one of the preeminent dealers in the American South. He is one of my very best sources. And I'd known him for, gosh, 10 or 15 years, and it wasn't until I was designing some interiors in South Florida for a well-known European luxury brand that I started buying and buying pieces from him and realized just what a treasure he is. And we have been dear friends ever since. He is not only just brilliant in many ways, but completely without pretense. And he is insightful and wise and incredibly good at what he does, best of the best, and never has a snobbish attitude about anything. He is just a treasure. I hope you're lucky enough to have people like that in your life as well. One of the points I want to share with you while I'm working on this, speaking of non-pretentious, is what kind of flowers that I use, and I suggest you think about using too. Yes, we should all be growing as much of our own fresh cut material as we can, because we need to think about the environment. However, I do not suggest any snobbish attitude about materials that some people like to sneer at. And a lot of people love to say, oh, alstroemeria, I see that in the grocery store. I've seen that at the gas station. What a terribly low flower. And I say it's like music. Not all music is right for every occasion, but it all has its purpose. So what you play at a picnic is different than what you have at church, and that's different than what you have at a coronation. Although I would use alstroemeria on a coronation. So, all of that to say that I am using this birthday arrangement as a way to encourage you that it is extremely easy to have a little bit of extra. And I know we are all living in a time where everything is terribly expensive. But I say to you, when you get in the habit of it, you find you have more than you need quite often. And I'm not saying sacrifice, but also if you just have an extra slice of pie that you might throw out, why not share it with a friend? If we have a few extra flowers, why not share them with a friend? In fact, it is part of my ethos with the way that I live my life and run my business. Share everything that I can that is extra with someone who either needs it or would simply enjoy it. And by needing it, that can simply be someone whose day would be brightened because I thought of them. In fact, I encourage you to share something this week, whether it's some flowers, a little something you've made in the kitchen, Maybe you're growing some seasonal plants and you just have a little 4-inch pot that's something you can spare. Share it with someone who will enjoy it. I think it's fantastic. And people doing that to me over the years made a big difference in my life. So I say let's do it together. And when you do it, I encourage you to share it on Instagram with the hashtag Little Somethin. Hashtag LITTLESOMETHIN. It's a southern phrase. But when you take your gift, you can say, knock, knock on the door. I've just brought you a little something. And people will be terribly touched. Like my friend is going to be with this arrangement that, though I made it myself, I'm pleased to say is quite lovely already. And I have not even put in these peonies that I have. So this is a bit long. Now, part of the success, this big gardening arrangement, is that I have conditioned the flowers to perfection. And I have also arranged them in plain water in this pink glass vase, which I absolutely love, and I found it at a thrift store for just pennies in perfect condition. In fact, I found it as a pair. And I passed on the second of the pair because it was not without a big chip that interfered with my enjoyment of it. So, now we get to look at these. We get to the exciting bits, the most exciting bits. I want to talk to you about containers because people often say, my word, your designs are so full of things that we would never think about. How do you come up with those combinations of containers and flowers and foliage? And I say to you, in all honesty and confidence, I haven't thought of them either in the way that you might think. A lot of designers I've known go out looking for a container once they conceive of a design. And that's perfectly fine if that's what you like to do. But I would say that the way I do it is different and better and more thrifty. The container is always an absolutely essential part of the design. And if you go out buying them when you need them, it's going to cost you a fortune, an absolute fortune, because you're at the mercy of the seller. And I never think that's a good position for the buyer to be in. So what I do instead is I just always go out through bricants and flea markets and thrift stores and charity shops looking for what appeals to me. And when I find something at a wonderful price that's exciting, I pick it up in that one moment. Look at that. Not too bad, huh? I pick it up and add it to my collection. Then, when I'm in a position to need a vase, instead of going shopping or looking from scratch, I just go onto my shelf and find something quite lovely. And then people say, my word, I would have never thought of that. And I say to them, well, I didn't quite think of it either, but look how nice it is. So the container is part of the design, but look as you go. It makes life interesting too. I don't know anyone who doesn't enjoy going through a bricant or looking at bric-a-brac kinds of shops, and you find the most wonderful things for pennies. And because you've saved some money, you can additionally afford to share what you've got with friends. Now, I need something with quite a long stem. Let's see what I've got here. I'll divert from my topic for a moment to, oh, look at this. I divert for just a moment to tell you what of this I grew myself. I've got some roses here that I'm going to show you in another film. I grew those. I did not grow the peonies. I grew the ivy, which you see in this arrangement. I grew the Queen Anne's lace, but that's a bit of a stretch because it just grows wild here in such abundance that it would be silly to go out and buy it. I also, what else is mine? Might be it, though a lot more of it is local. The peonies are from not too far away. The sunflowers, which I am not using in this design, nor am I finding my vase with this stem. The sunflowers are relatively local, that I have in the back. What else? Oh, the yarrow is local. My word. I'm getting a few too many flowers for my vase, but this is the kind of friend who appreciates excess. So he will be very pleased indeed. So let's think about this hashtag. Hashtag little something. I'll tell you, I'm not completely starting it from scratch, but there are very few posts using it on Instagram. That's where we're doing it, on Instagram. And I hope that you will start sharing there, and the very most inspiring ones that I see of yours, I will share to my stories. I think that will be a nice thing to do together. Now, I need to sort out some longer stems, and I don't want to keep you waiting too terribly long. Let's see if I can get this one in. If I can't, ooh, look at these. This, I think, is my answer here. Look at that. Now, I will tell you, while I'm preparing this stem, I have some things coming up that I hope not only might you find helpful, but immediately pertaining to the discussion we're having right now, which is coming up later this year. I have my antiques tours, and the dates that I'm currently offering are in Louisville, Kentucky, and Nashville, Tennessee. And right now, as of middle of June 2024, I am running both of them at a substantial discount, hoping that you snap them up. They are marvelous days where we have a sensational time, and one of the things that we have is a great picnic lunch midday, and it is always something southern and traditional, and yet greatly informed by the time I have very happily spent with the French. And boy, that's looking quite lovely. And while we're there, I teach you how I buy antiques, vintage, etc., like a pro. And they're just delightful days. I have structured them so that you buy the whole day as a group of 8. And that way you can form your own group, and we can coordinate the details to exactly your specifications. So those are coming up later this fall. In the meanwhile, if you want to know how I prepare these flowers and foliage to perform spectacularly, if I do say so myself, I am interested in floristry without fear. And if you're always worried about your flowers failing you, that is quite fearful indeed. So if you want to know a better way, coming to my website in June is my flowers and foliage cutting or selecting and conditioning class. Other than that, I have a vase arranging in plain water, foam-free class coming up. 3 techniques. I'm going to teach you something like this and variations on it, so that once you know how to select and prepare your materials, you can arrange them with equal confidence, no worries at all, and that's coming to my website in July, mathertonbaber.com. You can select learn online or go antiquing and find any combination of those you like. And in the meanwhile, I think this little something is going to make my friend very happy. I'll fluff it a bit more after I turn it around, but how is that for a reveal? I think he's going to think this is absolutely sensational. I will add a bit of foliage to finish the back, and I might work in a few more peonies for his enjoyment, but then I will pop it in the car and run it to his shop, where I hope he enjoys it for a good week at least. Thanks very much. If you want to find me on Instagram, I'm M.Atherton-Baber. Should you want to find me on Facebook, I'm M.Atherton-Baber Studio-Workshop. Of course, here I am on YouTube, and I look forward to seeing you again soon. Have a great week.